Welcome to the Locked In Baseball Podcast. I'm William Locke. He is Luis Barranco. It is Thursday, February 5th. Luis, have I officially been admitted to the culture?
Potentially. I think I'm rolling with it. I think we're with it. Happy February 5th. It is February. Like crap. Super Bowl's on Sunday. Pitchers and catchers report next week. I mean, we got one of my somebody this week who actually knows me pretty well and knows that I'm a baseball fan came up and told me at work. I was like, hey, season starts next week. You ready? College baseball season's up next week.
I know. I saw a funny tweet today. It was talking about how, like, obviously up north it's cold right now, but all these teams their seasons start on Monday or whatever. It starts pretty soon, and they're like, one day you're practicing in the gym taking grounders on linoleum floors, and the next day you're playing LSU. I'm like, that sounds like Xavier baseball with the way they schedule. You sent me their schedule the other day. It's insane.
Who does Butler play? Let's look at their schedule. I know this is kind of getting off a little bit. Hey, it's baseball. I mean, have you looked into the baseball season this year? Like, who's the top dog this year in college baseball?
I used to pay more attention to college baseball, like when I was closer to college. I feel like I don't pay as much attention in the regular season, but I'll definitely watch the tournament. That's the best time to tune in, obviously. But I have no idea who Butler plays this year. They usually don't play as insane as the schedule as Xavier does. Do you have it up?
They play UT Martin, at Murray State, at Marshall, Morehead State, Bellarmine, at Wichita State, Purdue at home, Ball State at Ball State, Ohio State at Ohio State, Toledo, Milwaukee, and then the Big East. It really does sound like they're a action team.
That's a pretty boring schedule. Yeah, there's no SEC teams on there, nothing too scary. But yeah, to your point, baseball is right around the corner. I mean, we're 5 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting. We've been working this week internally on the preview schedule, so it's preview season for us. We're fully prepping. We're getting ready for those coming. Not next week, but the week after. I think we still got to figure out the timing exactly, but those will be coming thick and fast. We're going to be previewing the WBC. Today is kind of like putting a bow on the offseason. We're going to do our winners and losers, talk about the Framber move, the Brendan Donovan trade, and all the stuff that's happened over the last few days since we last recorded. A lot has obviously happened, but with Framber signing, with the Skubal arbitration case being settled, it does kind of feel like the offseason is pretty much done. All of the major players, everything's ready to go. And I mean, like you said, Super Bowl is over, and once the Super Bowl is over, it's baseball season at that point.
So, hey, let's just get into it, William. What do you want to talk? Yep. You want to talk moves, or you want to talk winners and losers? Let's go.
Let's do winners and losers, then we'll get into the rest of the moves from the week. We're each going to be listing, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's not really rocket science. The teams that we thought had good off seasons, the teams that we thought had bad off seasons. I can get started. I'll start with a winner. I had the Baltimore Orioles as a winner. Just recapping their offseason, obviously they brought in Pete Alonso to play first base. They signed a closer, Ryan Helsley, with Felix Bautista injured next season. I thought that was a very good addition. That's a 2-year deal. They bolstered the rotation with Zach Eflin, bringing him back. And they also traded they added a bullpen arm in Andrew Kittredge. And then they brought in outfielder Larry Taveras. They did that Grayson Rodriguez trade for Taylor Ward. And then they got Shane Baz for 4 prospects and a draft pick in a trade with the Rays. And, the reason I think they're winners is this is kind of the first time that they've spent real money under their new ownership group. They got 2 serious power bats in Alonso and Ward. And they added a controllable rotation piece in Shane Baz. They gave up a lot for him. Again, prospects are prospect. Who knows what happens with those guys that they gave up for Baz, but he is under control through 2028, and they think they can develop him into a reliable starter. So now when you look at the team in the context of the American League, they have one of the better players in the division in Gunnar Henderson at shortstop. You're going to need bounce back seasons from Adley Rutschman. What are you getting from Jackson Holiday? Can he pan out into kind of what he was projected to be? That's a question mark, but exciting pieces in Colton Cowser, Samuel Basayo. They actually just got Blaze Alexander today. And then the rotation, Trevor Rogers, Kyle Bradish, Shane Baz. I feel pretty strong about that. I don't know if they're going to make a run for the division, but I do think this team now can compete for a wild card spot, get back into the playoffs. So I thought the Orioles had a pretty strong offseason. And they definitely got better, and they're going to be putting some pressure on teams like the Yankees and the Blue Jays this season.
I like that take. I just find that trade interesting to be today. Going off that point, I'm going to talk about my biggest winner. I'm going to take the New York Mets this year. I mean, for as much flack as we gave the New York Mets to begin the offseason, it's not how you start, as they say in life. It's about how you finish. The New York Mets obviously lose Pete Alonso going to Baltimore, as you spoke earlier, Edwin Diaz to the Dodgers, and then they did the trade with Brandon Nimmo to the Rangers and Jeff McNeil to the Athletics. Seems like there was a bad clubhouse going around, so let's just redo the clubhouse and let's just mix it up a little bit. And how do you do that? You get Bo Bichette, who is an elite hitter, over 300 hitter. He's going to play a little bit of third base, potentially out for the Mets in the infield. Signed him to a 3-year deal. Like the contract at $42 million. Yes, it is an overpay to my standards, but there's player options involved that I feel like he could go test out the market again. He can dive in, dive out, depending on what's going on. You add him into the lineup. You also go get Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien, again, a great second baseman, perennial all-star second baseman at second base, replacing Jeff McNeil. And Jeff McNeil kind of played all over the place, but getting him at second base, ensuring that middle infield defense. Again, we talk a lot about on the podcast about having a deep spine. And when you want to have a good spine, you have to get good defenders up the middle. And what a better middle infield defense than Francisco Lindor and Marcus Semien. Just a perfect double play combination. You had Jorge Polanco as well, who is a switch hitter, plays really well. Again, played really well for the Mariners. Hit 265 last year with 26 homers, 78 RBIs. Kind of replaces that power that you lose with Pete Alonso. But again, he's going to be in a way different lineup at Citi Field, getting protection from guys like Bo Bichette and Juan Soto, which I think is something that we do have to compare to how he was hitting in Seattle. I know you can't make straight comparisons, but I do feel like him hitting behind one of the league's best hitters and one of the league's better hitters in Bo Bichette, I feel like those numbers are bound to increase. Now, the big question mark with the Mets was the rotation in the bullpen. I mean, you do really have a rotation that struggled last year, a bullpen that lost Ryan Helsley, Gregory Soto, and Ryan Stanek, who some of them struggled at points of the season. You then go crosstown and get Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, two guys who pitched meaningful innings for the New York Yankees last year. And, Devin Williams is an all-star closer. You and me both saw the metrics. The underlying metrics were really good. Yes, he struggled in New York, but I kind of feel year 2 in New York and Queens is going to go real better after he can adjust to the New York market, which is not an easy market to pitch in. So adding an all-star closer to replace Edwin Diaz is obviously a downgrade, but you do save money in a lot of ways. A little bit maybe dip in production, yes, but you're not having that massive catastrophic drop off. And then Luke Weaver, I mean, one of the league's, if not the league's best setup man right now in the league, can get you multiple innings if need be. Could be a guy that they move to the starting rotation if things get to that point. But aside from that, the biggest fish that they got this winter was Freddie Peralta. And you and me both talked about how shrewd of a move at 1 year, $8 million. Instead of paying that big price money to guys like Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, they ended up just trading 2 top 100 guys, which, again, you can't prospect hug, but they're getting proven MLB talent, which at the end of the day is a W in my book. They may be 1 arm or 2 behind some of the bigger teams like the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. But at the end of the day, from where the Mets started and where the Mets ended, they're ending a better team today on February 5th than how they ended the Major League season last year.
I think I agree. I had them marked down as a winner. They also traded for Luis Robert. I can't remember if you mentioned him, but they did that with the White Sox as well. Gave up Luis Angel Acuna. The only thing that I have question marks about with the Mets is it's just so much new in that clubhouse next season, which reading the reports actually probably could be a good thing. Seems like maybe that clubhouse wasn't in complete harmony last season, and we saw them capitulate down the stretch. So I like that pick. I have them as a tentative winner just because there's so many question marks, but I think most people would probably agree with you that they were a winner. Should we do a loser now and go back and forth?
I'm going to talk about another winner, a sleeper winner. I'm going to go to Chicago, to the South Side. The North Side's taking the headlines with the Alex Bregman signing, and Edward Cabrera. But I would like to talk about the Chicago White Sox, a team that last year was terrible in a rebuilding year, but now there's some promise down at guaranteed rate. Is that what it's called now? Guaranteed rate?
They dropped the guaranteed, and now it's just rate. So
rate
the rate isn't fully guaranteed, but there are rates being handed out. Mortgages.
Going 60 and 102. I mean, they have building blocks. We can agree. It was more of a play the kids type of year, letting guys like Shane Smith have a nice season. Kyle Teal is a guy for the future. Miggy Vardas started to get it together, and you also have guys like Colson Montgomery. Signing Munetaka Murakami is a sleeper signing that, if he hits, like, that could be a really, really good block or trade chip for the future that you can upstart your rebuild into the trajectory of being mid again. And then, no disrespect to White Sox fans, you were one of the worst teams in the majors, but I mean, you gotta take baby steps. And I mean, there's a lot of promise on that team with Murakami. I mean, if Murakami turns out to be the bat that we were salivating over last year in 2025, in the winter of 25, then I mean, that could be a really good start for them. They also go get Austin Hayes, who was a darling for many teams in the outfield. He would kill I think it was lefties that he was killing. He was a lefty killer. I know the Yankees were linked. A lot of teams were linked for him, and they ended up getting on a one-year deal. Could be some good trade deadline fodder. They go trade for Jordan Hicks, which, I mean, very buy low type of arm. And they added guys like Anthony Kay and Sir Anthony Dominguez, which I think in the long run, makes them a not formidable, but makes them a very, very, MLB-like team that, if all doesn't go well, you could trade one at the deadline and get good, meaningful assets. I mean, Sir Anthony Dominguez was pitching innings in October for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I thought they had a good offseason as well. I mean, they were spending financial capital, which is always good. You like to see these teams that usually don't spend money. Sir Anthony Dominguez, like you said, was good for the Jays and Orioles last season when he got traded crosstown. The Hicks trade, which we'll talk about later, seems like it was more about the prospect that they got in return. So that was good. They got off the Robert money fully, which they've been trying to do for, it seems like, 5 years at this point. Luis Angel Acuna, they're taking a flyer on him, and they got the young talent to surround him. So we'll get more into detail on them in the preview, but I also think they were a moderate winner, the White Sox.
They got some good prospects this year coming up. They got the Braden Montgomery kid, the outfielder Noah Schultz, and Hagen Smith, three guys that we could see coming up. And, I think they're picking top 5 again this year.
They're number 1.
Oh, they're number 1. So,
yeah.
Maybe it's the guy from UCLA. I can't say his name.
Yeah, I think he's the consensus number 1, like the first time in a couple of years that there's been a pretty clear-cut number 1 heading into the college baseball season.
And then they got Billy Carlson last year. I mean, hey, there's a lot of things to be promising to be mid again over in the South Side.
They could push for 81 and 81 in a couple seasons.
They could push for 81 and 81 this year. Let's think about it. To be honest, the Central's pretty trash, and all it takes is one good month and playing 500 ball, and you're in the playoffs.
We saw last year the Guardians just get hot at the end and won the division, took them away from the Tigers. Yeah. My second winner, I got the Seattle Mariners. I honestly think the Mariners might be the best team in the American League right now. Last week or this week, they made the huge trade for Brendan Donovan. They also re-signed Josh Naylor as their 2 main offseason moves. They also brought in Jose A. Ferrer, trade with the Nationals, gave up their catching prospect Harry Ford, which we don't know what he's going to turn out to be. And Ferrer could turn out to be one of the better ground ball pitchers in all of baseball in relief. And now you look at their roster. I think the biggest question, of course, is what kind of production you're going to get from Cal Raleigh after the MVP caliber season he had last season. But, you have him, let's say he'll have 40 something home runs. Julio, can he do it for a full season? I still think he's one of the better players in the league. He's a star. Like, there's not many weaknesses now with this team. Also, you got Donovan that can play a bunch of different positions. You got Colt Emerson, the number 4 prospect, top 5 prospect in all of baseball coming up, maybe this season, ready to fill a spot. Maybe shortstop, JP Crawford, a little bit of a weakness, but I still think he's pretty solid. Randy Rosarena, the lineup feels more complete than it's ever been. We saw how close they were to making the World Series last season. We'll talk about the Jays a little bit later. I don't necessarily know if the Jays were for sure winners this offseason. I still think there's some question marks with Toronto more than people are talking about right now. And I think Seattle has one of the deepest rotations, maybe the deepest in all of baseball. Pair that with one of the best closers in baseball, maybe the best in Andres Munoz, Matt Brash, Ferrer. I talked about, like, this team feels pretty freaking complete. I think they're knocking on the doorstep to get to a World Series. There's obviously the caveat of they were so close last year. It's hard to get back to that point. Can they do it again? But I really like, and we'll get to the Donovan trade later in the episode, but man, I feel good. Oh, they also brought in Rob Refschneider, a lefty killer, as a bench piece.
I just don't know about this team. I mean, they lose Polanco, and then the middle infield is going to be composed of J.P. Crawford, and I forgot, Polanco's not at second base. I don't know who's going to be at second base. Maybe Cole Emerson slides over. It's just
Cole Young right now. They got penciled in.
I just don't know. I feel like I think it's going to be very common. The AL is wide open again next year. Like, nobody in the AL went for it this offseason. Like, I think everybody kind of was like moderately in, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, in a way.
In a way, they all got bought out by the National League. With Kyle Tucker, we had the Jays in on Tucker, but the Dodgers won that sweepstakes. In Bichette, we had the Red Sox rumored. We had the Jays also in on that. He goes to the Mets. Schwarber was kind of always going to the Phillies, but like all the big guys went to the National League, it feels like.
I mean, the National League is a murderer's row at this point.
Yeah.
And it leads me to my next winner. I mean, might as well just get to it. I'm not going to take too much time into this, but the LA Dodgers. I mean, I grilled them last podcast talking about how they lack versatility, but it's kind of hard to grill a team when they lack versatility, when they have like the one of ones at their position. I mean, signing the biggest fish, in our opinion, in Kyle Tucker, getting them down and curing their outfield woes. I mean, their outfield, was their biggest question mark last season. I mean, it was I don't want to say revolving door, but it was the production level in the outfield was kind of a question mark. I mean, Kike Hernandez, sometimes they played Justin Dean. In the past, we've seen James Outman in the past. It was just kind of who's playing out there. Now it's, you got Kyle Tucker, Tommy Edmonds there too, so he can play a little bit of center once he's healthy. You get him, one of the best bats in all of baseball. What's the other big caveat that the Dodgers stunk at last year? They couldn't close games. They don't have a closer. Well, let's just get one of the top 5 closers in the whole league, in Edwin Diaz. So now you're literally having Edwin Diaz. You probably stick Roki in a setup role. And when you have the league's best rotation, I mean, when you get to playoff time, if your starter goes 6 innings, their starter goes 6-7 innings, it's pretty much over at this point, because they're paying Edwin Diaz shutdown money. And even then, when you have a lineup like the Dodgers have, you're going to have Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Kyle Tucker. Oh, and they got Shohei Ohtani. Like, what is the league supposed to do at this point? Oh, and I forget Will Smith out of this whole equation. Notable losses, they only lost Kirby Yates. And the free agents that they had this year, Tony Gonsolin, great pitcher, got hurt. Nobody's picked him up yet. Kike Hernandez, he's rehabbing. I guarantee you, by June, he'll be out there on the bench with Miggy Rojas.
Yep.
They're just waiting for his rehab to finish. Michael Kopech, kind of a flamethrower, dealt with some injury issues in the past, been up and down, be interesting. And then Evan Phillips, which there's been buzz that a lot of people want him back in the organization. So, what are they going to do? What if they get Bruce Gatterall back and healthy?
He's healthy. He's going to play a factor in that bullpen this year.
It's going to that bullpen is just nasty, and it's just they don't lose anybody. That's crazy. Every single team, every single contender, you can make the argument this year. Now, the Yankees lost Devin Williams, and they also lost Luke Weaver. And I'm being very generous with the term contender with the Yankees. The Blue Jays lost Bo Bichette. Okay, the Mariners lost Eugenio Suárez.
And Polanco.
And Polanco, but more so Eugenio Suárez, which agreed. It was only half season, but Suárez and Polanco. Okay. And then in the NL, the Phillies haven't done anything, and they lost they lost some pieces as well. They're not there anymore.
Wheeler's injured, which is going to hurt them. They brought Realmuto and Schwarber back. It was an okay offseason.
But they lost some pieces as well. I thought they lost Ranger. That's what I forgot. They lost Ranger.
Yeah.
They lost Ranger. That's the other one. And then who else in the NL is going to compete? The Braves haven't proven anything. And that's what I want to really point out right now. That, we see all these FanGraphs numbers come out. The Braves, yes, they have a high percentage. But what have the Braves proven to us in 2 years? In 2 years that we've done these these previews, like dedicated previews, we've always been overhyping the Braves, and they've done absolutely nothing. And until further notice, I will not drink the Braves Kool-Aid. And
that's fair.
And then the Mets, I mean, again, they're like the same position as the Yankees. We're being very generous. Like, yes, they're a contender, but they still have a lot of holes. So for the Dodgers just to go out and get the number one weapon, bullpen weapon, and the number one offensive weapon, I mean, how do you not call them a winner? They pretty much just nuked their whole competition.
I had them as a winner. I just didn't want to. I mean, it's obvious. Like, it just felt like, everyone knows they won the offseason, but you laid it out well. I'm very fascinated with what they get from Roki this season. That's going to be one of the more interesting things for me to watch with the Dodgers in the regular season.
Got to develop that third pitch. I mean, I think that's from if you want to get into baseball heady, baseball nerd, he has to develop something to play off the splitter and the fastball. Got to have something. I don't know. I don't know. It just,
I was reading about that in the Athletic this week. They were talking. Andrew Friedman was talking about how they don't necessarily pushing him to develop a third pitch, but they do think it would kind of benefit him.
He needs to. You can't be a 2-pitch starter.
That's what. Yeah.
I mean,
it can work in the NPB where you can get away with it, but in MLB, that's a reliever role if you're a 2-pitch pitcher. For sure.
Even 3-pitch pitcher, you're a reliever.
It's tough. You're really gonna have a 4 maybe pitch mix. Yeah. Four plus.
Maybe something running horizontally, maybe I don't know, not a slider, but maybe like a cutter or two seam, something that kind of runs.
Changeup kind of goes the same way.
Oh yeah. Change planes. So
yeah, I agree. Maybe a slider. My final winner, I have the Royals. I know it wasn't the craziest offseason. Free agents, they brought in Lane Thomas and Alec Lange, the reliever, but they helped out the outfield, traded for Isaac Collins, the signing of Thomas. They acquired Matt Strahm for the bullpen from the Phillies. And I think the most important pieces for the Royals this offseason was extending Michael Garcia for 5 years and their manager, Matt Quatrero, who's one of the most well-regarded young managers in baseball right now. They also brought in the outfield fences, which maybe that's good for hitters. I think it should be good for hitters. Who knows for pitchers? Maybe it's more of a neutral ballpark than it once was. But, they upgraded the outfield depth. They improved their bullpen with Strahm, and they extended Garcia, which was a huge move. Now I look at that young core. Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Garcia is an elite left side of the infield. Vinny Pasquantino at first, I feel good about. Jack Caglione, let's see what he does. First full season, spring training under his belt. I think he's going to be really good this year. Carter Jensen, the catcher, who's still going to be a rookie, had a really nice debut last season. I think he's going to be in the running and could very well win Rookie of the Year, so I feel good about him. And then in the arms, obviously you got Cole Reagans is still there. Carlos Estevez out of the pen, a little bit older, of course, but really good closer, one of the better closers in the sport. In a pretty weak division, this team can contend for sure, and I feel really good about the Royals this season, like the next 5 seasons. I just think they have a lot of young talent there that has shown signs of success in the MLB or has succeeded at a high level in the MLB in terms of Witt and Garcia. And guys like Carter Jensen and Jack Caglione have kind of had their cup of tea in the big leagues. Jensen had a really good year last year. Caglione struggled, but I think he's going to turn it around. Like, the Royals are kind of the up-and-coming team to watch in that division. Obviously, they were in the playoffs in 24. Get their cup of tea, lost to the Yankees, but the Royals are going to be tough in that division, I think.
I kind of think they're a fool's gold type of team. I don't want to step too much on the previews, but I just kind of feel like a lot can go left on these signings. Going to the same division, and I think we've talked about this division a lot today, which is kind of weird. I mean, we're talking about the AL Central. Let's talk about the Detroit Tigers, big winner. I mean, they just signed Framber Valdez. They got the best 1-2 punch probably in the American League now with Framber Valdez and Tarik Skubal. I think we can both agree that the best 1-2 punch is in Detroit.
I mean, Skubal's the best pitcher in the sport, and you pair him with Framber, who's top 10. Yeah, I thought maybe in the league, but I think in the American League, yes. We don't need to go through all of them, but they're definitely in that
conversation. I know. For Framber Valdez, what a pitcher. I mean, let's just talk about him. Like, lefty killer. I mean, he's a big lefty. I don't know how many other lefties I'd take in the sport. top 5 lefty, Framber Valdez.
Well, Skubal, obviously.
Yeah.
Fried. I would probably it's just, Framber and Fried are similar in the sense that they're both elite ground ball pitchers, more so pitch to contact. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
I mean,
Crochet. Crochet's better.
Yeah.
Crochet's better for sure.
Okay, yeah. I was about to sound dumb and lose credibility on this pod by saying no. But yeah. But in regards to the Tigers, I mean, look, their free agents this year were Chris Paddock and Alex Cobb. And you get Framber Valdez. I mean, they were linked with Lucas Giolito earlier. I mean, you get the biggest lefty pitcher. I mean, it's a debate who was the best pitcher, and I think it was Cease or Valdez as your best starting pitcher in the league this year in free agency. Yeah. Yeah. So you get Gleiber back on the qualifying offering. Gleiber really had a nice year with them last year. Kenley Jansen, he's catching that saves record, trying to become a part of that, record holder class. Kyle Finnegan, I like what they did. They don't have many losses, big marquee losses. Again, Riley Green's up and coming still. He's kind of arriving. They have Torkelson, who kind of took a step forward this year. Great catcher, Dylan Dangler. Also, I just like this team, what they've been doing. A lot of young talent coming up through the pipeline. A lot of things to be excited about the Motor City. And I really do like what they did this offseason. And by signing Valdez, we can put the stamp that the Detroit Tigers are the best team in the Central by far. And they should not lose the Central with those two guys. And they're a sneaky pick to get to the CS this year. I mean, they were pretty close, but I think they're a very sneaky pick. We shouldn't sleep on them to getting all the way to the CS this year.
I mean, they've lost the DS Game 5 2 years in a row. I think they're a sleeper pick to get to the World Series. I mean, if both of those guys are healthy in the playoffs, that rotation could just carry them to the World Series with Framber and Skubal. I mean, remember Framber closed out Game 6. He didn't close out the game, but he started Game 6 of the 2022 World Series for the Houston Astros, got himself a World Series ring. I think he went like 6 innings, 1 earned that game. Like, he was elite. So the lineup is going to be the question, as it has been. But they have 2 top 5 prospects in all of baseball, and the number 1 or the number 2 prospect consensus pretty consensus number 2 in Kevin McGonigal, and then Max Clark, who's also a top 5 guy. We'll probably see McGonigal this year, Max Clark TBD, but yeah, I think they're built well for when Skubal probably ends up leaving. But this is kind of the year. Like, you got Skubal last season, Framber's there, got to push your chips all in. And they did. So exciting. I think they're absolutely the favorites for the Central. Yeah.
And I think with, Dylan Dingler, I think he's probably the most scared catcher right now in the American League. So have to point that out there. But I mean, you have AJ Hinch. I mean, I think when you think about it and take a step back and look at it, I think a lot of the AJ Hinch relationship played into this signing. And again, you have to commend these mid-market, small market teams, and no offense to Detroit, putting all their chips in. I mean, this is their all-in year. Maybe a bat or 2 away. I don't want to step on 2, but I really do like what they did this offseason. I mean, Javi Baez gives it one last hurrah this year and plays really well. Again, we could see this team in all the way in October.
Javi Baez, let's see a flat turn back the clock season from him. That'd be fun. Yeah, let's move to the losers. This will also be kind of central. I have a couple Central Division teams. Also, my final other winners, I had the Dodgers, of course. Cubs had a good offseason. Cardinals had to be done. They had to fire sale. Also, the Nationals for bringing in a new front office, new vision. And I also had the Tigers. My first loser, though.
Wait, before you keep going, you know what the Nationals remind me of? They remind me of, like, in the theme of NBA trade deadline day, they remind me of that, like, those like trades that continuously keep going and going and going with the Juan Soto trade. I feel like the Juan Soto return is going to continue to keep going and going and going and going. Like, that's going to be like an all-timer, like the Paul George trade going to the OKC Thunder.
It's one of those trades that we'll talk about for a long time, for sure.
It's like when you look at the flow chart of like what that became, and it keeps on going and going and going and going. So
yeah, my biggest loser from MLB free agency, Cleveland Guardians. yes, it's great that you extended Jose Ramirez, one of the best players in your franchise's history, but you did nothing to make the team better around him. Your free agent acquisitions were basically bullpen depth in Colin Holderman, Connor Brogdon, and Sean Armstrong. They traded for a lefty from the Cardinals, and that is quite literally it. So I know they have good young players. They're going to be relying on Kyle Manzardo, Chase DeLauder, Travis Bazzana to surround Jose Ramirez in that lineup. Obviously, Stephen Kwan is there still. They didn't trade him. And, they have some arms that you feel good about, some good young arms. But I know they have RSN concerns, and that's part of the reason probably that they're not spending money. But yeah, this stinks. If you're a Guardians fan, just another offseason of them not really doing anything. And I think they're probably the third best team in this division on paper heading into the season, behind the Tigers and the Royals. I still think they're significantly better than the Twins and the White Sox. But yeah, it's frustrating. Also, just got a new tweet from Ken Rosenthal. I think it was Ken Rosenthal. Some interesting news. No, it was from David Purdom, who I've actually never really heard report anything, but he said, indicted Cleveland's Guardian pitcher Emmanuel Clase is accused of throwing suspect pitches to benefit bettors in at least 48 games over 2 years, which is significantly more than initially revealed by federal prosecutors. So more bad news. I mean, it doesn't really affect the Guardians that well. Yes, it affected the Guardians in the past, but he was never going to play in MLB. Now he's definitely not going to play in MLB ever again.
Hey, shout out to the Guardians, man. Shout out to Jose Ramirez, Stephen Kwan, and company. Shout out to Stephen Vogt. Winning games, the guy actively trying to throw games against you. Like big shout outs. That deserves MVP recognition right there in a way.
Manager of the year. Absolutely. We talked about it last year when it happened. The Guardians were still pretty decent despite their closer trying to throw games or throw pitches at least. Crazy.
My loser, Boston Red Sox. Again, I say this a lot on this podcast, but I mean, you are the Boston Red Sox. You are one of the top 5 franchises in all the game. And, your pockets are just as deep as the Dodgers, Yankees, and other teams. They're deep, like very deep. And you get linked with all these big free agents and, all these all-stars and superstars. And what do you end up? Alex Bregman walks to the Cubs. You go get Sonny Gray, which we like the move. It raises your floor, but from a ceiling perspective, you don't really know long term. Wilson Contreras, again, another floor-raising move. But at the end of the day, when you look at the Boston Red Sox, Boston fans care about wins and playoff wins. They don't care about the regular season. I mean, again, this team last year performed well. We do agree they were right there to make the playoffs. They made the playoffs. They had that series with the Yankees again. But that's not going to be the taste that fans are going to want. And again, you have to provide the names. And again, the team runs very financially responsible and fiscally responsible. But at the end of the day, when you act financially and fiscally responsible and you act in a very responsible manner, you will end up second in a lot of these biddings, like it happened with Bregman. You will end up in second or third place when you prospect hug. And again, I look at this core, and it's a lot of question marks with this core. I mean, Roman Anthony's great, but that was only half a season. Marcelo Mayer, as much as we like him, still a question mark. A lot of these guys that they have are still questions. And so as much as we like that they raised the floor, we want to go see them get the big boys to help them get to that next step. And again, you are the Boston Red Sox. You shouldn't be going for B tier and C tier free agents.
I don't view Roman Anthony as a question mark. I think he's going to, I don't want to step on the preview too much, but I do think he's going to establish himself as one of the better players in all of baseball next season. I do think he's that good.
I do too, but it's just, again, I have to be realistic and take the sample size.
Yeah, Crochet and Suarez is a nice one too. I think they upgraded that. They didn't trade Bayo, which I feel like he's movable now. Sonny Gray he's okay. I mean, as a Yankee fan, he's fine.
Floor-raising move again. Floor-raising moves.
Floor-raising move. Adds depth. They didn't do anything for the pen. Is Aroldis Chapman going to be as good this season as he was last? Probably not. But yeah, they didn't. They lost out on Bichette. They weren't in on the Tucker sweepstakes. They lost out on Bregman. They lost out on Alonso, a player that I thought they absolutely should have signed.
Should have.
So yeah, I think it's. If I had to grade it, I'd probably give it a C. I still think they have a ton of young talent. We'll see. Time will tell. I don't think they're the best team in the American League East right now.
Now let's just talk about this. I mean, their lineup ranks probably mid-tier in the AL right now. Do we both agree? Mid in the AL, pretty damn mid in the AL. Like above mid, above average. And then you look at their pitching staff. I mean, I can give you 5 to 7 pitching staffs that I would take over the Boston Red Sox right now.
Are we just talking starters only?
Starters only in the AL. I would take Detroit's.
Absolutely, of course.
Seattle's.
Depth.
Yes, I would take the Yankees.
With Cole back, yes.
And Rodon back. Even without Cole, I mean, I still think it's better in a way.
Okay.
I would take those 3. I would throw debate Houston in there. Houston's up for debate in there.
Amai and Hunter Brown. Probably not.
The debate.
Toronto?
That was my next team. I would take Toronto.
Yeah.
And then Texas.
Yeah. Crochet Carey is obviously the rotation. There's only 2 pitchers I take above him in all of baseball right now with
but I take Texas in that too. You don't
take Voldy, old, lighter.
But they still produce. They still produce better better. That's as a total. We're not looking at it individually. If we're looking at it individually, then there's only like 2 or 3 teams that have better pitchers, individualistic pitchers than the Red Sox do.
What does Boston do with Casas this year?
DH role. Mix in DH for space. Build up that trade value again.
They're getting Patrick Sandoval back at some point this season.
But I'm just saying, I just named you 5 teams with better rotations right now that I would take.
Right now, February 5th, maybe. We'll see.
It's just like what other teams would you take? I mean, you can make the argument with there's not many other teams that have better rotations because those are the only 5. I mean, Houston's the only one that pushes Boston like it's a dead push.
Yeah, that's fair. Crochet, I'd probably take Boston over Houston.
I'm just trying to think of other American League teams right now, top of my head, because none of the Centrals aside from Detroit.
Athletics, no. Orioles, no. White Sox, no. Guardians, no. Tigers, yes. Houston, maybe. Royals, no. Angels, no. Twins, no. Yankees, yes. Mariners, yes. Rays, no. Rangers, maybe. Blue Jays, probably yes. That's the American League.
So it's 5 teams better.
Yeah. I'll go into my second loser. I had the Phillies. I have the Phillies as a loser. They bring back Schwarber, which was nice. They bring back Real Muto on kind of an awkward situation where he was clearly the plan B to Bo Bichette. 3 years, 45 for him. Brad Keller as a reliever. I like that. Taking a flyer on Adolis Garcia, kind of a last chance saloon there. 1-year deal. Traded for Jonathan Bolin from the Royals for Matt Strahm. Might have been some clubhouse things with Strahm there. I like the re-signing of Schwarber and Real Muto, but you missed on Bichette. You're taking a chance on Adolis. Justin Crawford's going to be the everyday center fielder, it seems like, but you didn't trade Castellanos or Bohm, 2 guys that were in trade rumors all winter. Kind of just feels like they're running it back again. And, are they good enough to just run it back when you don't have Zach Wheeler to start the season? Andrew Painter should be playing a role for this team this year, but he's struggled with injury, had that Tommy John surgery. Can he finally establish himself as a big leaguer? He's been, the top pitching prospect in baseball for a while. He's not a prospect anymore, I don't think, or he's not on those lists anymore, but it's a tough division. The Mets got significantly better. The Mets got better. The Braves are going to be better than they were last season. So it's tough. The Dodgers, obviously, that series was closer than people remember last season, but I still feel like they're pretty far behind the Dodgers. So I just don't know if they're good enough to win a World Series. I don't think they had that good of an offseason.
I couldn't agree with you more. I feel that the Phillies are Yankee South in the way that they keep running it back with the same core, and not making a move to raise the ceiling. I mean, it kind of stinks that they got, snubbed out of a Bo Bichette at the 12th hour. I mean, I think that was the big move. And again, I don't know how, guys like Alec Boehm, who's constantly in trade rumors, and, if you're Alec Boehm, like, you hear this Bo Bichette signing, you're probably on the way out as well. You also think about it, the JT Realmuto news also. You lose Ranger Suárez, who was one of your big, foundational pieces in that rotation. You don't have Zach Wheeler. They're bound to take a step back, unfortunately.
At some point, they have this. I think their win total is 89.5, the highest in the National League, or second highest behind the Dodgers. Feels like a lot.
It feels like a lot. Let me talk about my next loser. The Colorado Rockies. it is dark.
Okay.
Willie Castro and Michael Lorenzen were your only two big marquee signings. You know what the payroll is for the Colorado Rockies next year?
Let me guess. It's actually higher because they still have the Chris Bryant. Is it like 110?
It is 110 exactly.
Oh, what a guess! I was working on the preview stuff the other day.
$110 million, and look at that team. Does that team even crack 70 wins? Is our big question. Don't answer that now. Only two top prospects in the top 100. You're not doing it. It's just like Rockies fans, you might as well not show up to the game. Just eat bull testicles at this point.
I don't want to step on the preview too much. I don't have them as an outright loser because they finally looked internally and decided to look externally and hire from outside the organization to figure out their front office. Who knows if it's going to work out, but
that team still sucks.
It's No, I'm not talking about for this season. I'm just talking about moving forward. I think it's objectively hilarious that the Rockies are in the same division as the Dodgers. It's just funny, man. That's brutal.
My question is, it's like, it's so funny. You remember when you were growing up and the Astros were like the laughing stock of Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
And you met somebody that works in the organization, and he won't say where he was doing. I'm not going to dox the guy, but you literally came in one day and we were like in middle school. It's like, yeah, you said we're going to suck this year.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did. They sucked for a long time. It's kind of like the Rockies.
But 2 years later, the foundational pieces were there.
Yeah. And other things were there too that helped them. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Astros fans. I'm a Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan, so I understand. My next loser, you got to go with the Minnesota Twins. I don't want to beat this horse to death, but they did nothing. I mean, Josh Bell, Victor Caratini, Taylor Rogers as their free agents, traded for Eric Wagaman. Nothing really else notable. They got rid of their president of baseball operations, Derek Falvey, like right before spring training last weekend. Just crazy. They got RSN issues. They don't really have much of a farm. Well, the farm is decent, but the farm can't stay healthy. Guys like Walker Jenkins, Emmanuel Rodriguez, or whatever his name is. So, yeah, just grim times in Minnesota. I don't need to depress Twins fans even more.
I think one of the biggest losers was the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's looking like they have some generational talents in Paul Skeens, and we're talking about Connor Griffin being one of the guys like Trout coming up here soon. And again, linked with all the big boys this offseason. I heard a little bit of Framber, you heard a little bit of Schwarber, you heard a little bit of Eugenio Suárez. That Eugenio Suárez, had a nice little contract offer, and he was like, "No, I'm gonna go back to Cincinnati, go back to familiarity, and go home a little bit." It's the Pirates definitely got a stench to that front office at this point. You're offering money and players aren't taking your money. That's often not a good sign. I don't think it's a Pittsburgh as a city is the problem. It sounds like it's a Pittsburgh as the ownership and front office. And at this point, it's concerning because who wouldn't want to go play for the Pirates when you have a rotation of Mitch Keller, Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler soon, and then, prospects like Seth Hernandez coming up the pipeline. Like, the Pittsburgh Pirates could have a top 10 rotation when we get here at the end of next season. And players and hitters aren't taking your money. It's often a bad sign. There's something there that we don't know that has to come out to the light.
Oh, well, they stink and no one wants to go there. And they're having issues negotiating with Andrew McCutchen. There's some awkwardness there trying to finish out his career. But yeah, not good. Not a good offseason. I mean, they did spend some money, so better than most off seasons. Ryan O'Hearn, they got Jose Urquidy today.
But you got to see the vision, my guy. You got to see that they have generational talents, and you have to start putting pieces in place to get that team in contention. And it looks like they're just not doing it. And it's not because of them not wanting to, because it looked like they were operating in good faith with Schwarber and Suarez and other big bats, but players just weren't taking their money.
Yeah, and they offered Naylor too, I think, or they were going to offer.
That's right.
Naylor.
That's right. That's a big one.
It was reported earlier, like this week, I think Monday or Tuesday, by Ken Rosenthal, that the Pirates were interested in Framber. Might have given him an offer. I feel like the Pirates were leaking a lot of stuff just to make it seem like they tried this offseason.
Or they were getting used to get offers.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but that's the problem. How does the front office take that into the future? Because I mean, you're going to have Paul Skeens for a while and Connor Griffin, and if they both pan out, you have two big building blocks. How do you start building a good contender? Like, what's going to be the domino that starts the catalyst of all this?
They have to show some success on the field. They got to win 70. Well, they won 70 games, I think, something last year. They got to win 80 games. Like, show some signs of promise. Bubba Chandler too. Bubba Chandler.
But that's what I said. But there's some talent there. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Bubba Chandler, Jared Jones, Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller. There's talent there to win 80 games this year. And
right. In a bad division.
In a bad division, and my thing is, as a hitter, if you're getting a bunch of money, if you're getting, because Pittsburgh, you're probably getting some tax, the Pittsburgh tax. Like you're gonna have to pay a little more. Players are still taking less and not taking to your team, going to your team. That's what I'm saying.
The NL Central might not be as bad as I'm saying, because the Cubs would be good, the Brewers should be good, the Reds should be mid to decent, and then the Cardinals might be one of the worst teams in all of baseball.
Okay,
the Pirates will see.
But let me just ask you, what makes the Reds better than the Pirates?
Their rotation is deeper.
Who? Really?
Deeper,
Let's deep it. Let's deep it.
Let's deep it. Hunter Green as their number one.
Paul Skeens is your number one.
I'm saying depth-wise. Because once you get past Keller in Pittsburgh, it's like there's a lot of question marks. Nick Lodolo, Rhett Lauer,
on the trade market.
I know. Andrew Abbott.
Okay. Fair.
Chase Burns.
So second-year guy trying to figure it out. I'm just saying there's not just many differences. The only main difference right now between the Reds and the Pirates is that the Reds have an established guy on offense, which is Elly De La Cruz. And if Connor Griffin comes and does the same thing, what is really the difference between both of the teams? I mean, not really that much.
South Stewart can be good. I think Eugenio Suárez. I mean, it's going to be a nice addition.
My points are they're not too different. They're not out of
That's fair.
People put Pittsburgh to be this awful team, but it's really not awful. Yes, their ownership doesn't spend money, but it's not like we're comparing apples to oranges. I think it's more like apples to kumquats.
They weren't embarrassingly bad last season. They won 71 games, 71 and 91. Still bad, but it's not like 40-something wins like the Rockies or White Sox or whatever.
The Reds still made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, barely.
Think about it. Think about it. And I'm just saying, what's the differences between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati?
All right. Yeah. Well, one's in Ohio, one's in Pittsburgh.
And I think people would rather be in Pennsylvania. Let's get your states right, my guy.
What did I say? One's in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, and one's in Ohio.
Well, one's in Ohio, one's in Pennsylvania is what I meant. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is a massive state. It's funny how Pittsburgh is basically in Ohio and
don't say that. Don't. You're going to offend a lot of people from Pittsburgh.
Philly is basically in like New Jersey, one of those East Coast.
Don't offend.
Nothing in the middle except Penn State.
Don't offend anybody from Pennsylvania because people regard as Ohio and Jersey as the armpits of America.
No, Jersey's nice. Ohio, I have my feelings about. Pennsylvania's a good state though. It's pretty. My grandfather might live there. I have roots there. Miners back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, mining community. So I got roots from Pennsylvania. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. I
was going to say my final loser, but go ahead.
Go ahead. You can go quick.
San Francisco. I mean, we talked about San Francisco last pod. it's like, what are we doing here? I mean, it's just like I just feel like San Francisco has really good MLB players, but it's just mishmash of MLB players.
It's
just
such
like
a random assortment of players. Arise, Devers on one side of the infield, and then Adames and Chapman on the other.
And then ownership isn't going to let you spend money when you already have issues getting players to go there because of cost of living and your ballpark. Like, it just doesn't like add up. It's like such a mishmash players. Then the Tony Vitello thing. I mean, great college manager. We both can agree. Did wonders at Tennessee. But again, this is the majors. This is not, NCAA. This is not the SEC. I understand it means more, but this is Major League Baseball. This is the NL West, where you're facing professionals day in and day out. And I just don't understand their offseason because it's just like it's just a bunch of mishmash of parts.
You willingly take on the Devers contract. The Red Sox pay down none of it, and then you refuse to spend money after that. It's like, well, you're the one that agreed to pay Rafael Devers a deal that executives around the league seem to think was one of the worst deals in baseball. Don't know how that one's going to age. And you don't have a hitter-friendly park. You got to have these guys like Marco Scutaro that help them win a World Series. I don't know. I don't like it, but I just don't see I don't see the vision. I don't see the vision.
My point is just like, it's not that the signings they made are bad. It's not like they're overspending on guys that aren't worth it. My whole problem is that they're getting players. They're getting good MLB players like Harrison Bader. They're getting, Rafael Devers. They're getting good MLB players. And I know Rafael Devers is an in-season thing, but they're getting good MLB players, but they don't add up. Like, that would be like, I don't know, that'd be Rafael Devers going to, the Dodgers. How does he fit into that Dodgers lineup? Yes, he's a great player, and I think he would play, but how does he slot into that lineup?
Look,
it just doesn't add up.
It feels like a random construction of
it's a random conglomerate of players.
Conglomerate. That's the word I was kind of looking for.
That's what it is. I mean, that is my point. Did they get better? Yes. I think so. Again, it's a random mishmash of parts.
A couple other losers. I had the Yankees as kind of a loser. The Diamondbacks as kind of a loser. The Yankees more so in the context of the division that I think other teams got mostly better, except the Rays. And then the Brewers, they didn't do anything this winter except trade their best pitcher, which means they'll probably win even more games next season, knowing how the Brewers operate. But the last team I want to talk about is the Blue Jays, because everyone's talking about how the Blue Jays are one of the biggest winners next to the Dodgers of this offseason. And I think they had a good offseason, but I wouldn't give it an A+. Like, I don't think it's, oh my gosh, the Blue Jays, now they're definitely going to win the World Series. They're the clear favorites in the American League. Like, I don't see it. Cease was a good signing. I feel really good about the rotation. There's a lot of depth there. They don't necessarily have like a Cy Young caliber starter per se, in my opinion, but they have a lot of really solid starters in Gausman, Cease, and Bieber. Yasavage, first full year for Yasavage is going to be exciting. And then outside of that, there's a lot of question marks on what they did this offseason. Okamoto should be a good talent, should be a good rotational kind of play a lot of places piece, but he hasn't played at all in Major League Baseball. He's still a question mark. Cody Ponce coming back over from the KBO. Again, the metrics on him seem to be nice. Seems like he really improved over there in Korea, but still a question mark. Hasn't played in Major League Baseball in a few years at this point. Those were kind of the main moves that they made this winter. And and also Tyler Rogers, a bullpen piece. But in a way, a lot of those same storylines for the Blue Jays over the last couple off seasons of them always being the bridesmaid and never the bride, they failed or they missed out on the Bichette sweepstakes. They missed out on the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. They also missed out on Edwin Diaz, a guy they were in on. 3 marquee free agents, Tucker being the biggest one this offseason. Seems like they were second or third there. So it's kind of the same story as, years past for the Jays in terms of missing out on the top guys. And they're going to need a lot of these guys that had very good career years last season, like an Ernie Clement, for example, to do it again. And again, they were so close last season. I don't know if they're going to get back to where they were last season. I still think they're going to be a really good team. I don't know if they're, just because they made the World Series last year doesn't mean they should be viewed as the favorite heading into 2026 for the American League is my opinion. Because I don't think their offseason was like Oh my God, Blue Jays clearly the best team in the American League.
I call it a net neutral offseason, to be honest. In my opinion, just could go the TBD because we don't know what Okamoto is.
Yeah, and if Okamoto and Ponce both hit, yeah, then they're the best team.
Just one hits, and I think it's more on Okamoto because I think they can take the hit pitching wise with what they've built up. So
I agree. And Santander needs to have a good year because they gave him a lot of money last winter.
Big if. But
big if.
Let's go talk some recent moves. I mean, we talked a little bit about Framber. 3 years, 115 with deferrals and opt out after year 2. Largest deal for president of baseball operations Scott Harris. Largest contract since Al Avila signed Javi Baez. So that's 6 year, $140 million back in 2022. The Valdez does have a qualifying offer, so it's the first time in the Harris tenure that the Tigers will have to forfeit a draft pick for a free agent. Very durable king, like William said. He's only gone to the IL twice in his 8-year career. 3 at least seasons of 192 innings in the past 4 years. Great ground ball pitcher, 61.5% of ground balls pitch rate since 2020. Tops in the majors for among qualified starters. Again, this is a big win for the Harris administration. 8.5 walk rate for Valdez, which is the highest in his 4 years. But again, it falls all in the relationships, like I said earlier, with AJ Hinch. And now Tigers got Skubal, Valdez, Flaherty, Mize, and Olsen. Got to talk about that rotation, man. Top 5s in baseball, in the AL maybe. Jackson Jobe back to return from Tommy John sometime in the second half. Like the move for the Tigers. Tigers are going all in. I mean, Skubal, I'll tie the Skubal thing up in here as well. Skubal ended up getting the $32 million off arbitration yesterday, which was the hearing was yesterday. So happened yesterday. So $32 million. Again, I do think that Skubal will finish the year out as a Detroit Tiger, will hit the market. And I think the Tigers just going for it. I mean, will be interesting what they do at the deadline. I do feel like they're a bat or two away from being a strong contender in the American League behind the Mariners and Blue Jays, but I think they're right there in the thick of things. Big excitement in the 3-1-3. No need to doom and gloom. Celebrate these moments with Skubal as it could be. It probably is your last season.
It probably. Did you see he had an Instagram story yesterday where he tagged Framber and said "Dinner's on you"?
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah,
he's going to make more with $38 million, I think. And if you can
32,
look this up, 32, but you can look this up with the $38 million. I think it's the largest ever AAV for a lefty starter.
It's one of the highest ever, I think. Yeah.
No, for a lefty in general.
Yeah, I think it might be. I don't have it on me, but what did Fried get? Fried didn't get 38.
No, 3 got like 28, 30 in the 28, 30 range.
I think he was in the 30s. But yeah, I mean, I look at the Tigers. I think I'd put that 1-2 punch with Framber and Skubal and Framber as I think I put it up there with any 1-2 punch in all of baseball, even including the Dodgers, whatever rotation they want to go with Yamamoto, Snell, Ohtani, Yamamoto, whatever. Like Skubal's the best pitcher in the sport, 2 back-to-back Cy Youngs. Could very well go for a 3rd straight this season in a contract year. And Framber is one of the best ground ball pitchers in all of baseball, won that World Series in 2022 with the Astros. So, man, that's really exciting for the Tigers. There was, the interesting question raised of like, okay, the Framber news comes out after the arbitration hearing yesterday, right? So the Tigers knew they lost the arbitration hearing. They're going to have to pay Skubal 32. Now that they signed Framber, is that insurance for Skubal, who now they're going to go try to trade? I don't think so. I think that would probably cause fans to riot and would just be terrible business for the Tigers. I don't think there's any return that you could get for Skubal that's worth it unless it's just absolutely ludicrous. So I do think Skubal will end the season as a Tiger and they should win the division, but it's an interesting thought.
Can we just talk about like something's in the air in the 3-1-3? Like the Tigers are back, they're going to be in contention, and I'll go ahead and say it. They if I'm a fan of any AL team, I fear this team the most in the AL. I do not want a 3-game set because the fact that I have to go through Tarik Skubal and Framber Valdez scares the living hell out of me. I don't think the Mariners can top that, Blue Jays or Yankees. So I mean, they just scare me. I mean, the Illich family opened the wallets. I mean, the Red Wings are playing really good hockey right now, really good in the Eastern Conference right now. I think they're in first place right now in the East. So going back to those 90s and 2000s of Red Wings teams that were in the Stanley Cup hunt. And the Detroit Pistons playing some good ball. I mean, we're taking the clock back to the 2000s when we had Miguel Ordonez, Justin Verlander, and, the Red Wings had Henrik Zetterberg, and the Detroit Pistons had Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince. All three teams were in championship hunts. So exciting times to be living in the 3-1-3, living in Michigan. Michigan football should be back next year. So, hey, good time to be a Michigan sports fan.
Michigan basketball, 22-1. The Lions, who knows?
We'll be pretty good. We'll be good. I'm telling you, it's exciting. And, let's just be honest. Is there any team – they're the last team I want to face if fully healthy.
Oh, God. I mean, yeah, the only knock on Skubal in the playoffs is that he doesn't go, super deep because he's a full exertion type of guy, usually 6 or 7 innings in the postseason. That's it.
They got Kenley Jansen, too, to close the games. So they got a wild veteran back there in the pen to close the game. So, again, I think the Tigers are going to push 90 this year easily.
They won last season, second place, 87. I think they're 3 wins better.
They're going to be 3 wins better. And I'll go ahead and say it again. It's an exciting time to be in Detroit, I will say.
I mean, you were just there.
No, I'm just saying it's exciting to be a Detroit sports fan. I mean, talk about I feel like the Midwest gets all the rap for being crappy Midwest sports cities and they're cursed. But I mean, hey, I think Detroit kind of has good luck. And I think, having all your big four in a good position right now.
That's true. I mean, think about it where it was 5 years ago even.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago sports are every team's cursed in Chicago.
We've had a good year, though. Cubs, good playoff run. Bears, good playoff run. Blackhawks still suck, and the Bulls are just a train wreck, and the White Sox are also a train wreck. But
it's the Reinsdorf family. No offense.
It completely ruined the city.
No, I mean,
besides the Bulls in the 90s, of course.
Also the thing about the Tigers is I'm just saying they're a couple bats away. That's the only thing I need from them. A couple bats.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Kevin
McGonigal could be that guy.
You know what I want for pure vibes? What? Justin Verlander.
Oh,
just get Justin Verlander for pure vibes.
Nostalgia.
Can you imagine if they're in the postseason and he's thrown out a game 4 of the CS or a clincher game 5, game 6 in Comerica? Could you imagine the nostalgia of those 3-1-3 fans going Michigan?
Bring them back.
Think about it. Bring it back. Why not?
I mean, we saw Scherzer last year pitch in the World Series. Was good. Verlander finished the season pretty strong for the Giants.
But it's different. This would be back home in Detroit. Finish the career on a retirement tour. Just be.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I still think there's something there with him. Couple good starts. That's all it takes. He doesn't have to be the 162. He doesn't need 30-something starts. Just give me 2 good starts in October. That's all I need.
A little retirement tour in Detroit.
I think it's good.
That'd be too. Next move. Again, I'll touch this move. We'll go rapid fire with these. Carlos Santana, 1 year, $2 million to Arizona. What do you think?
Wait, you skipped the Brendan Donovan trade.
I'm going to get there.
Okay. Carlos Santana, yeah, I mean, switch hitter, going to probably platoon with Pavin Smith. 1 year, $2 million, it's nothing. So I think this is a good deal. MLB active leader in walks with 1,330. But he wasn't very good last year, but still very good defensively. So, okay. Probably get traded at the deadline.
We're kind of getting to the point. He's going to be a great, immaculate, great guy, but we're kind of getting to that point in the MLB. We're in the MLB offseason where we get a lot of nostalgia signings, and I think that signing killed one of the nostalgia signings I was kind of rooting for. I was kind of rooting for Paul Goldschmidt return to Arizona. Just one last ride out in Arizona. Looks like that's not going to happen. Miguel Andujar to the Padres again. Seems like the type of guy to just go nuclear for the Padres and just become a. The Padres always have these weird guys that just go berserk at Petco.
He was good last year, 318 average, 822 OPS, but only played 94 games because he had an oblique strain. 1 year, $4 million, can receive up to $2 million in performance bonuses. Gavin Cheese is going to be their everyday first baseman, probably. He was last year's DH, so Andujar is probably now going to DH against lefties. Maybe platoon at first base. Yeah, I think it should be a fun move for them. I think it'll be an upgrade, definitely at the bare minimum defensively at first over Arise. They'll be better at that position. And he's good against lefties. Tough place to hit. But yeah, I mean, the Yankees were apparently interested in him and they missed out. So yeah, good signing.
Now the big move, Brendan Donovan is heading up to the Pacific Northwest. The Mariners get Brendan Donovan, who primarily played as a second baseman, played left field in 2024, has played pretty much all over the place, third base, first base, shortstop, right field, won a Gold Glove as utility in 2022, 2.9 F4, same as Riley Green, Randy Rosarena, and Ian Happ with 2 years of control. Cardinals get a bunch of top prospect, Ty Pete, Colton Ledbetter, and then Urangelo Singante, who is the switch pitcher who came out that he will exclusively pitch only one-sided this year.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Was that really?
Yeah, that got reported, yes.
Oh, shoot. That sucks. That was this whole cool thing about him.
But he's still a good prospect to pitch for.
Yeah, no. Is he going from the right side, I'm assuming? Seems like he was more of a lefty ground ball pitcher, was better from the right side.
Going to go from the right side. Cardinals got now 6 top 100 prospects. The Cardinals, since the deadline, have had 11 pitching prospects, 4 position players, 2 draft picks, and international bonus pool money. Payroll is expected to fall below $100 million for the first time in 2010.
Since 2010.
Since 2010. And then they had included the Rays, who got Brandon Williamson back. Personally, I love the move for the Cardinals. Again, you kind of touched on this earlier. The Cardinals are just pretty much wiping the slate clean, wiping the slate clean before it's a little bit too late. It's kind of sad when teams try to prolong the process and try to make it work. And I think the Cardinals did a really good job waiting, getting their price. And I mean, it's going to be sad times in Busch Stadium for the next 2 to 3 seasons, but I do trust their development system and their scouts. I mean, remember when we grew up, it was Cardinals players littered all across the majors. Like literally some player came up from the system. And so if you have a good farm development team and a good eye for talent, so it's going to be tough for St. Louis, but I do believe that they're building for a stable foundation. Mariners get that bat. Again, Brendan Donovan is an upgrade to Jorge Polanco and Eugenio Suárez wherever they play him. So I kind of do feel like the Suárez signing going to Cincinnati, which we'll talk about next, kind of pushed the envelope for them to go get Brendan Donovan. And dude who has 2 years of control. I love the move for Seattle. And honestly, Seattle had the farm system to do it. Seattle's farm system is littered with talent, so why not go sacrifice those prospects and go for it when you're so close at competing for a World Series?
Yeah, and they had the pitching depth to do it, and I think it makes a lot of sense. The deal was done when they were in the Washington State Senate or something for some Cal Raleigh, or they were honoring the Mariners, and they ironed out the details of the trade there. So was kind of a unique wrinkle. Yeah, I think on the Cardinal side, and I talked about the Mariners a little bit earlier when I listed them as one of my biggest winners of the offseason, so I feel like I don't need to cover them. Cardinals, they're doing what had to be done. Heimblum, first offseason, it's a blank slate there. They're going to be a revenue sharing recipient for the first time in 25 seasons, at least 25 seasons. They're going to be very bad this season, but they have so many prospects now. Like you said, since last year's trade deadline, 11 pitching prospects, 4 position playing prospects, and 2 draft picks, as well as international bonus pool money. They have JJ Weatherholt, and I see the vision. It's going to be a while, obviously, but I think it had to be done in St. Louis. I want to talk Eugenio Suárez.
More of a feel-good move with Eugenio Suárez going back to Cincinnati. 1 year, $15 million with a mutual option at 16 for 2027. Again, I think it was a great move by Cincinnati. I do feel like they needed a proven bat in the middle of the lineup. I mean, Eugenio Suárez was one of those guys like Nick Castellanos who literally killed that Great American Ballpark. So I do love the move. Will help the Ellie De La Cruz batting lineup, so we'll give him some type of protection. And I mean, Cincinnati needs hitters. I mean, they don't really have that many proven hitters in that lineup. I mean, Spencer Steer is kind of a mixed bag, and I mean, he got floated in some trade rumors. I know the Yankees were linked. Again, Sal Stewart's a young guy, so he could learn a little bit from Gino. And there's not many other guys they have in that lineup that are just proven hitters. So it's really nice that they got him back. Cheaper deal than expected, falling short of the $369 million. And again, gonna play DH, hit 49 homers, which is fifth in Major League Baseball, and 77 and extra base hits. I just think he's just gonna kill the ball in Cincinnati. I think this is a very good value move. And if the season goes south, they can lose to get good value again. But I do feel like I know he had a Pittsburgh deal on the table. I feel like he does have a strong connection to the franchise, and it's very nice to see him go home. I know a lot of Reds fans were posting with Reds telecast Jim Day. They had a little bit of a very friendly relationship, and they're going to be reunited again.
They are going to be reunited. Suarez's family accompanied him to Cincinnati last June when he was on the Diamondbacks for that D-backs versus Reds series, in part because of their fondness for the city. That's where his eldest daughter was born. So, Suarez even joked that the Reds were her favorite team, even when Eugenio was playing elsewhere. So a lot of strong ties to that city. He played well there last season, had 49 home runs, which was fifth in Major League Baseball. He just strikes out a ton. Defense slipped. Seems like he's going to serve primarily as a DH for the Reds, but also is going to get some work at first base during spring training, with Sal Stewart probably being the everyday guy there. You mentioned him, but yeah, I think it's a good move for the Reds. They missed out on Schwarber in the offseason, earlier in the offseason, but getting Eugenio, not as good as Schwarber, of course, but a good power bat. And I think the most important piece of this move is its protection for Elly De La Cruz. They just really have not had anything in that lineup besides him the past couple of seasons. And at the bare minimum, it's a legit threat behind Cruz now in that lineup.
I'll go ahead and say it. I could see a world that in 4 months from now, we're talking about Suarez is a Reds rep for the All-Star game.
Yeah, they could. I mean, if Elly is Elly,
even without Elly, I could just see him being the sole rep.
They have arms, but yeah, I could see him being a rep too.
It's hard to be. Arms are hard to project, and there's so many arms in the NL that could make it.
Yeah.
So I can see it. So yeah, that's my thing. So, anything else, William? You want to wrap up with talk RSN? You want to give the listeners an RSN beef talk like you always do, more of a baseball business talk?
I do want to talk RSNs because it's important news that probably fell under the radar for most fans. But this week it was announced that there are now 6 more teams fleeing Main Street Sports Group, which is bankrupt. They're in financial ruin, basically. The FanDuel Sports Network. The Reds, Royals, Marlins, Brewers, and Cardinals are all leaving to go to the MLB's broadcast package, joining the Diamondbacks, Guardians, Rockies, Twins, Padres, Mariners, and Nationals. As recently, and this is from The Athletic, as recently as December, 9 MLB teams were in line to be carried by Main Street in 2026. But the company that month began to miss scheduled rights fee payments, including to the Cardinals. All 9 MLB teams subsequently terminated their agreements with the company. The most important takeaway here is that local TV revenue is a huge, mostly the biggest stream of revenue for a lot of major league teams. And there's a big difference in revenue between being on, having a deal with a Main Street Sports Group and having a deal with the MLB's broadcast package. According to MLB's official website, for clubs that lost their RSN deals, the broadcast deals replacing them have on average paid out 50% of what clubs had received from their former cable deals. So for the Cardinals, for example, they received roughly $60 million in TV revenue in 2025. That is projected to be down now to about $20 to $30 million in broadcast revenue for 2026. And the reason I said this is important is because it just speaks to the inequality in baseball in terms of, revenue streams. And we wonder why teams don't spend money. A lot of it is because of these RSN issues when, a lot of people that maybe don't pay attention to this news, but it's part of the reason why teams aren't spending money in free agency. And when you reference back to the Dodgers, who make roughly $334 million annually on their TV deal. And they also have a clause in that deal, which is only there basically because MLB didn't want to help they wanted to help the Dodgers after they went bankrupt in 2011. That clause allows them to allocate less of that money to revenue sharing. So the Dodgers are just making infinitely more money from their TV deal than a lot of other teams. Like a good third to 2/3 of the league is making on their TV deals. So it just sucks for these teams, for these fan bases. I mean, all of the teams listed: Reds, Royals, Marlins, Brewers, Cardinals, Rays, all these teams leaving Main Street to go to MLB. They didn't spend much money this winter. Seems like the Tigers might be heading there too. Braves could start up their own network. Angels might leave too. So a good chunk of the league is RSN issues. They need to get this figured out.
Looking for money. So
a couple other things. Carlos Beltran is going into the Hall of Fame as a Met, officially confirmed.
There you go.
Can you name the other two Mets to be in Cooperstown as Mets, like with a Met hat on their plaque?
I got 3 guesses. Actually, 4 guesses.
There's only 2 other ones. Okay.
Darryl Strawberry.
No, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Dwight Gooden.
No.
Mike Piazza.
There's
David
one.
Wagner.
You're missing the obvious, the easiest one.
Oh, David Wright. Mr. Matt.
No, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Who?
Tom Seaver.
Oh.
One of the best pitchers ever.
Yeah, well, that's a really bad miss.
Strawberry and Gooden neither of them are Hall of Famers.
Shout out Doc Gooden.
Shout out.
He was one of the favorite pitchers in the 90s and 80s. 90s, he was, shame he's not in the Hall of Fame. But William, got anything to close out the pod?
No, just this dog's going crazy.
Yeah, I think the dogs are getting called in by the dogs tonight.
No, nothing else. Previews starting soon, like we said. WBC preview, I think maybe will be next week's episode because I think the rosters were officially announced today. So I'll have to check that out. It should be all up now as we record. So, no, that's it. This was fun. This was a loaded one, long one, almost an hour and a half. You got anything else up to wrap up on?
That'll be it, man. Hope everybody enjoys the Super Bowl. Hope everybody, if you're watching with the Bad Bunny at halftime, hope your parents don't ask what is the translation for some of the songs. Keep it PG, baby. Let's just hope so.
Indeed. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We both got the Seahawks. This was a fun one. Baseball is right around the corner. We cannot wait. Like we said, preview starting soon. Until next week, catch you guys next time. Peace out.